Hi, Dylan. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your thesis statement and outline for Essay 1. First off, briefly want to talk to you about your formatting. Make sure that you include the entire heading, which should also include your course name in between the instructor's name and the date. And make sure you get your header up here in the right-hand corner, the last name and your last name and page number. Also, make sure when you write a summary that you state the author's full name the first time you introduce him into the text. So this should say George Orwell's A Hanging. Remember what we talked about today about doing your best to kind of avoid those announcement style statements? So if you say George Orwell's A Hanging, the reader intuitively knows that you're going to be talking about it. So this phrase is really just, it's just repetitive and unnecessary. So what you really want to do in a summary is present the author's name and then start getting to the main idea. I think I would hang on to this idea and maybe bring it up later in your analysis. What you want to do first is focus on clearly captioning the overall main idea and the plot points that are needed for the reader to understand how you came to your conclusion. So when you say Orwell talks about a prisoner's execution and the events leading up to that, as well as what he is going through mentally, be certain to give some more plot points here to really illustrate this idea. So we need to know the setting, we need to know who's telling the story, and we need to know what specific events that lead up to the prisoner's execution give us insight into what he's going through. So I would talk here, you don't have to get super in depth, but I would mention the epiphany moment and what happens right before the epiphany. And that's it, that the prisoner steps around the puddle. And that small act of him doing that kind of forces the narrator, forces the prison guard to re-examine what he formerly, thought of as normal or unquestionable. So what I don't see yet is a clear thesis statement, but I see a good working idea. So you say, to me, Orwell does a really good job on shedding light on the dark truth of human nature and how heartless we as a species can be. I agree with you. I think that that's one of the things that he's doing in this text. What you need to work on and what you need to narrow down is this phrase. He does a really good job on shedding light. Narrow that. So you need to focus on what specifically does Orwell do in the essay. Is it his description? Is it his word choice? Is it the fact that this story is in first person perspective, so we can hear everything that the prison guard is thinking? We can see everything that he's seeing. Does that make sense? So when you say a really good job, I get the beginning of a stance, but I wouldn't call this a claim. What you need to do is turn this into a clear claim. So what you want to do is focus on your word choice there, your word choice and your vocabulary, right? You're being too broad and too general. Really state what Orwell does to, in your opinion, do a good job on exposing, right? I think the dark part of human nature. I think that each of your key ideas could potentially work. And then maybe look at these key ideas and think about what Orwell is doing in each of those moments in the text to help you figure out really what it is you want to say in your claim. Also, think about the placement of your thesis statement. You have it at the beginning of the second paragraph, and typically that's not where readers read for thesis statements. Typically they read for them at the very end of the introductory paragraph. So you want to think about the placement of your thesis statement as well. So I do think that this essay, your ideas will work well, but do make sure that you do some tweaking on your thesis, not only on the placement, but the wording. That will really help this be a good, clear essay. All right, thanks.